Alright, what's going on, you guys? Brian here, and this is my recap of what happened on tonight's episode of SmackDown Live. So let's just get right into it. Of course, we had the SmackDown Live Town Hall meeting with Shane McMahon and the entire roster. Basically, this was just Shane listening to what the heels had to say, where the heels were like kissing up to Shane and all this stuff, but when the baby faces like Kofi Kingston, Liv Morgan, Apollo Crews, he didn't want to hear any of that, what they had to say. The only one that spoke out and really didn't have that much to say, but was Roman Reigns. And Shane told him when after Roman left, he said that he would take care of him later on. He would deal with him later. So, pretty much, then after Shane told all the roster that was pretty much it for the town hall meeting, he would then go on and say that he wasn't going to rule SmackDown with an iron fist, but little did he know that Kevin Owens, who was not at the town hall meeting because he was banned from the building and given the night off, would come up from behind him and nail him with what I like to call the Kevin Owens stunner, because apparently they've given Kevin Owens the stunner to use as a finishing move. So you might as well, they have the Stone Cold stunner, which Stone Cold was the originator of that, as far as, you doing it. Now they have the Kevin Owens stunner. So, he hits Shane with the Kevin Owens stunner, and then left through the crowd, kind of like how he's been doing the last couple of weeks. But then, before that happened, Shane made a match, which was the opening match. It was an Extreme Rules rematch between Cesaro and Aleister Black. This one I actually have was a really good match. I didn't see their match on Sunday at Extreme Rules, but watching this matchup, I thought it was a pretty good match. Both guys, this goes from what happened last week, where Cesaro was the one that was revealed as the one that wanted to pick a fight with Aleister Black. So I thought this one was really good, in a sense that it was, something different between two guys that I don't think have ever faced each other. I know they faced off at Extreme Rules, but before that have never faced off as far as one-on-one. So I thought it was a pretty good match tonight between these two. Aleister Black picked up the win with Black Mass, and that was pretty much it for that. We did have a backstage segment, where Dolph Ziggler went to Shane McMahon and basically asked him to face Kevin Owens. He told him that he would get Kevin Owens to come back to the arena and basically say that it would be the main event. Shane agreed, so that was the main event, Ziggler versus Kevin Owens. We had Charlotte Flair facing Liv Morgan. This one, not so good. This was basically because what happened in that town hall meeting, where Liv Morgan, when Charlotte Flair was talking, interrupted her, basically saying, it's because of women like her that women like Liv Morgan are not getting opportunities, stuff like that. So, not a really good match. It seemed like it was a short match. Charlotte won with the figure 8. Then Liv Morgan after the match, she would limp over to the announce table. She would grab the headset off of Corey Graves and basically say that when she comes back, she's going to be real, whatever that means. So hopefully this is a new attitude change for Liv Morgan, Um, since she's no longer with the, since the Riot Squad are no longer a group, she now has to prove herself on her own. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. We had Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville taking on Ember Moon and a mystery partner, which turned out to be the SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley. This was a pretty short matchup as well, in my opinion. Bayley and Ember Moon won the match when Ember connected with the Eclipse on Mandy Rose after Bayley took out Sonya Deville with the Bayley to Belly. So this is a pretty short match. Afterwards, another title match for SummerSlam was set up as Bayley would issue the challenge to Ember Moon to face her for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Ember accepted, so that looks like that's another match that is going to be set for SummerSlam this year. Bayley defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Ember Moon in a match that I would really like to see because it's something different. It's not the same, person or same people in that match. It's, something different in a different matchup. We had an in-ring segment with the New Day where they came out and talked about how Big E and Xavier became the SmackDown Tag Team Champions at Extreme Rules last Sunday, and how Kofi Kingston retained his WWE Championship on Sunday. They then, because throughout the day there was a promise that Daniel Bryan was going to make a career-altering announcement because of the fact that him and Rowan lost the tag team belts at Extreme Rules. Basically, New Day was like, we know what your announcement's going to be. We accept your tag team title rematch for right here, right now. Daniel Bryan and Rowan would come out, and Daniel Bryan didn't say anything. He walked away, would come back out, would walk away again, come back out, and then would drop the mic, not saying anything, not making any announcements. So in my opinion, that was a waste of, saying that, oh, Daniel Bryan's going to make a career-altering announcement, and then nothing. So, but then Samoa Joe would come out and basically say to Kofi, why don't you follow your buddy's leads and offer a WWE Championship matchup to him right here, right now. Then here comes Elias saying Samoa Joe had his opportunity. He deserves a shot at the WWE Championship. Then Randy Orton came out and said the same thing. He deserves an opportunity. One thing would lead to another. This would lead to a six-man tag match being made between Joe, Elias, and Orton, taken on the New Day, and that was the fourth match of the night, which, in my opinion, and some people might say have a different opinion, I thought this was a good six-man tag match. Orton picked up the win in this one. He defeated Kofi Kingston to pick up the win, obviously putting his name at the top of the list as far as potential contenders for SummerSlam and to challenge Kofi for the WWE Championship. So we'll have to wait and see next week or in the weeks leading up to SummerSlam who will get that opportunity. In perhaps the most terrible match of this show, and I use that term very loosely because WWE has done a terrible job at as far as the women's tag team championships are concerned. It was the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, accompanied by Paige. They challenged the Iconics. Now, this one was terrible because of the ending. It was short. It was terrible because, but I will say this, the Iconics did outsmart the Kabuki Warriors. Asuka nailed a kick on Billie Kay, which knocked her out of the ring. Then when the referee was almost at 8, was near like I think he was like at 7 or 8, then the light bulb went off in the Iconics' head, and they basically got counted out. I'm like, really? So you had the Kabuki Warriors defeating the Iconics in Japan to earn this opportunity, just to give us this championship match. And they want us to get invested in and make a big deal about the women's tag team titles when you give us stuff like that. So, I'm sorry to say, but this matchup was terrible. Then we had Andrade taking on Apollo Crews. This one was another short one with Apollo, after being attacked before the bell rang by Andrade. He picked up the win, defeating Andrade with a crucifix, kind of like how Samoa Joe defeated Finn Balor on Raw last night. Which brings us to the main event, which was Dolph Ziggler versus Kevin Owens. Near the end of the match, Shane McMahon, along with a lot of the heels like Drew McIntyre, the B-Team, Elias, Buddy Murphy, Shelton Benjamin, Andrade, Shinsuke Nakamura, I forget who else was out there. I think Cesaro was out there as well. They came out thinking that they were going to get the upper hand on Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens went for the win after hitting a stunner on Ziggler. Shane would pull Kevin out, but when Shane went to go hit him, Owens would counter and hit Shane with a stunner, and then would run up the ramp. Basically, this was a no contest. Sorry, guys. Basically, they're turning this whole Shane and Kevin Owens feud. This kind of reminds me of the whole Vince McMahon versus Stone Cold feud, with Owens being the new Stone Cold and going after Shane and being that rebel, going after the management. So that was pretty much it for SmackDown. Overall, Aleister Black and Cesaro was pretty good, and the six-man tag was pretty good. Otherwise, this show was absolutely just a disappointing show in my book. Disappointing episode, I should say. So, I'm sorry, but it was not all cracked up to be. I thought the only things were good was that six-man tag, the Aleister Black and Cesaro, and the Shane and Kevin Owens stuff that they have going on. So this week's episode was absolutely terrible, just like Raw was last night. So hopefully they change, they do something good for next week. But this week's episodes were, in my book, absolutely just not must-see. So with that in mind, if you guys watched SmackDown tonight, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. This has been my SmackDown recap for tonight's episode of SmackDown Live. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.